Thank you, Sasha Vanyachin. Great column store presentation. You're calling in from Raleigh, North Carolina, the US, right?
Yes, I am.
Welcome here. So I have an easy first question for you, and that is, why did you pick MariaDB column store? Did you consider other columnar databases?
Yes, we evaluated another open source database, ClickHouse, earlier. And for some benchmarks, it was faster and provides better compression. However, we have concerns regarding MySQL client compatibility. That is why we chose MariaDB column store for better integration with MariaDB server, as we shown in this presentation.
Right. So then when looking at the presentation and following column store in general, I'm a bit confused by the version numbering. Starting from a MariaDB perspective, I know 10.0, 10.1, and can calculate up until 10.5 or 10.6. But you talk about 1.2.5 and 1.5. So can you say something about the version numbering and what's the difference between the column store version number and where does it fit into the greater MariaDB server version numbering?
Yes, so the edition we used is a community edition that is general availability, which is the 1.2.5 column store, which corresponds to MariaDB 10.3.16, which is far behind the latest and greatest 10.5 release. And we are in the process of preparing for the upgrade because it includes the very much refactored column store engine 1.5. See the big jump in version numbers, but just an alert for everybody out there. It includes not only the beta version, but a little bit higher learning barrier because the control commands are totally reworked and requires more time to prepare for an upgrade.
Mm-hmm. So where are you now in test? You spoke about the latest and greatest. So how far are you in your own testing of the latest and greatest?
So we are plan to complete it in about 1 month.
Cool. So replication, I'm trying to understand there if you are part of the application in InnoDB and part of it in column store. So is it a good idea to use slave replication? It seems that you're not using that to get data into column store. So what's the idea here? What are you using and what should one use?
So again, we are taking advantage of the traditional asynchronous slave replication to populate MariaDB server, which is a built-in part of the column store. So we are replicating data to InnoDB, and we have a live replica of the our transactional database in this column store instance.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea of the data warehousing and the data lakes is to preserve a fixed snapshot of the data taken at a certain time. So our goal here is to preserve daily snapshot of the transactional database. So that is why we are kind of using, again, what we call the simple but elegant approach that we stop replication. We got, at this moment, a frozen snapshot of our data, and then we are using those native, highly efficient binary data transfer commands that transfer data from InnoDB to the column store engines. And as we understand right now that MariaDB slave replication to column store does not batch the update. So it should work well only for those tables that are slowly changing, like configurations table, dictionaries and such, but not for the transactional tables where multitude of daily activities happen.
So what about the rest of MariaDB around it? How well does it work with the column store, such as the MariaDB audit plugin? Does it work with the column store?
Yes, we tested. It works out of the box as documented, and we must use it when the column store will be deployed in a different capacity as we plan the so-called data archival. Because right now in the data lake, we keep the de-identified data. We do not have there the protected health information. So we are not regulated about auditing. But as soon as we start using the actual patient's data, we need an audit plugin, and it works fine.
Good. So any concluding words, anything, observations of questions that you got on Zulip? Anything else you wish to tell the audience at the MariaDB Serverfest?
I see only a message. I think one good thing is that the row store and column store are compatibly provided by one company, MariaDB. And I fully support and repeat this message. It is a great product which has integrated the so-called hybrid transactional and analytical capabilities in one package. That's a great call from MariaDB, and we look forward to use this.
Great. Those are good concluding words. Thank you, Sasha Vaniache.